There's so much about Arc Raiders, and the way it feels to play and exist within, that I can't stop thinking about. The satisfaction of taking down an Arc, the way the environment feels like a living extension of the war against them, creates an experience that's unlike anything else. Honestly, I can't remember the last time a game made me feel the way Arc Raiders does to play, both in its intense moment-to-moment battles and in simply being a part of its world. At first glance, the Ark look like your standard robotic enemies, something you've seen in countless games, but they're far more complex than they appear. Every encounter feels unpredictable because their behavior changes constantly, forcing you to think and adapt in real time. The way they recoil when you hit different parts of their armor adds weight and impact to every shot, making combat feel tactile and deliberate. Take Hornets and Wasps, for example. These enemies don't just wander aimlessly, they hunt in packs, scanning for prey, and if they catch you unprepared, you're as good as dead. Wasps are generally easier to deal with since their thrusters, which are their weak point, are exposed, but that does not make them harmless. If you're caught without cover and they lock on, they'll shred your health in seconds. Hornets, on the other hand, are more resilient. Their front thrusters have an extra layer of armor, which means you'll need an extra shot to break through to their thrusters. Their attacks are more telegraphed, so are generally easier to dodge, but miss that dodge and they'll stun you, leaving you vulnerable to follow-up damage. Individually, these enemies are not overwhelming, but together, they create layered encounters that demand precision and awareness. Then there are Arc, like the Leapers, creatures that launch themselves hundreds of feet towards you, limbs flailing wildly like their survival depends on your death. And let's not forget, fireballs and ticks, lurking inside buildings, waiting to ambush you, and if you don't scan your surroundings or react fast enough, then something like this might happen. Oh yeah, and how could I forget? The Rocketeer. Well, actually, I try to forget about the Rocketeer. Shit, he got me. Every enemy in Arc Raiders feels like a genuine threat, not just a disposable target thrown in to inconvenience you. That's what sets this game apart from other extraction shooters, where enemies often feel like filler. Here, every fight matters. Every mistake costs you. And that constant tension is what makes Arc Raiders so compelling. I think a big reason the enemies feel so dynamic and unpredictable is because they weren't just scripted to follow scenarios. They were trained using machine learning. Through countless simulations, they learned by trial and error to achieve objectives, rather than relying on rigid programming. This approach means their behavior isn't static. It feels organic, like they're reacting to the world around them. And that's why every encounter feels different. Every fight feels alive. One of the most fascinating aspects of Arc Raiders is how the physics engine interacts with enemy design, especially the flying Arc. When you shoot off a thruster, they don't simply drop out of the sky. They react dynamically, flailing and struggling to regain control. And if you destroy two thrusters on opposing sides, let's say the back left and front right, they can sometimes stabilize because the remaining thrusters can generate enough opposing force to counterbalance the loss. That's why the smartest strategy is to target two thrusters on the same side. Doing so eliminates any chance of recovery, because it won't be able to stabilize when its power is only coming from one side. Watching them fight to stay airborne is incredibly satisfying, and if they're moving fast enough in one direction, even a single well-placed shot can send them spiraling out of control, crashing before they can recover. Fighting each type of Arc feels like solving a puzzle, where movement, aim, and positioning are the pieces. That's what makes these encounters so rewarding. You have to read their behaviors, predict their patterns, and use the environment to your advantage. Even the most basic enemies pose a genuine threat, adding emotional weight to every fight. When I first started playing, I got taken out by wasps and hornets more times than I'd like to admit. And even still, at 170 hours clocked, oh my god, this fucking cat. Sorry. And even still, at 170 hours clocked, they still sometimes take me out, simply because I did not approach combat like a puzzle. To succeed, you must learn their weak points and understand how they move and behave. Otherwise, you're just a pile of loot for someone else. Every death feels earned, not cheap, because failure comes from trying to force a piece of that puzzle where it does not fit. It's like I touched on earlier. Compared to other enemies within this genre, it's a stark contrast, where enemies often feel like disposable obstacles meant to just slow you down. In Arc Raiders, they're the centerpiece. Each fight is a test of awareness and adaptability, and that's what makes every encounter resonate so long after it's over. This puzzle isn't just about the enemies, though. It's about the world you fight them in, and the environmental storytelling, and the way each map plays that makes the gameplay feel like this complete puzzle. Each map has its own distinct feel and story that makes them feel so unique. Dam Battlegrounds is a map that spans multiple biomes, from dense forests to murky swamps. For new players, it's a great place to gather easy resources, but it also offers a central point of contention in the control tower, the spot to focus on if you're chasing better gear and PvP encounters. The map is littered with crash probes and courier wrecks, far more than other zones. A haunting reminder of the first wave of Ark that we fought off and drove from the Rust Belt until a stronger, more advanced generation of Ark would return, forcing us underground where our fight continues from today. Buried City is a town swallowed by sand, a map that feels purpose-built for PvP encounters. The tight corridors within buildings, the vantage points you gain by peeking over rooftops, make it perfect for ambushes and tactical play. What was once a thriving city, bustling with life, is now consumed by sand from the shifting dunes and massive sandstorms. What remains of that former prosperity are streets, structures, and landmarks you'd expect in a vibrant city, now reduced to a hollow shell of its former self, eroded away by sand and arc. Spaceport is essentially a NASA launch site, a map that plays seamlessly both into PvE and PvP. The first thing that catches your eye is the massive launch pad at the center, a natural hotspot for clashes with other raiders. The area surrounding the pad is constantly patrolled by Ark, but there's an underground corridor that offers a risky yet effective way to slip past them and make your way to the launch tower. This launch tower was probably once a place of discovery, then maybe a beacon of hope, and at one point possibly a chance to escape. Now it stands as a monument of despair, a reminder that escape for the masses is nothing more than a long-lost dream. Bluegate is easily my favorite map, and it feels the most distinct compared to the other three I've talked about thus far. Its open areas scattered across the landscape host some of the best PvE encounters, while the underground passages set the stage for some of the most thrilling PvP engagements. The highlight of the environment for me is the torn-up hellscape left behind by the Baron, which now lays as a husk of its former self. The Baron is an Ark from the first wave that is now extinct. It has been said that the Baron did more damage than all the other machines combined, and it's easy to believe that when you see the massive canyon it's carved into the earth. Stellamontis is a PvP player's dream. It's the smallest of the maps, set entirely within an underground research facility carved into the side of a mountain. The layout spans 2 stories, with tight hallways linking different areas, creating constant tension through close quarter engagements with other raiders. The highlight of the map for me is the Shredder, a terrifying indoor arc that charges up before unleashing a barrage of bullets from every part of its body. Facing it in those confined spaces makes every encounter with them feel chaotic, unpredictable, and unforgettable. I honestly wish they would add these little guys to every map instead of just being confined to little old Stella. Originally, this was a research facility dedicated to studying and preserving medical and technological advances. Over time, I imagine it shifted toward developing weapons that could help humanity resist the Ark. Its name reflects that dual identity. Stella Montis is a Latin phrase meaning Star of the Mountain, a nod to both its geographical location and to the hope it once symbolized. At one point, it stood as a beacon of resilience until the Ark finally reached it and extinguished that light. And this is why I cannot stop thinking about Ark Raiders.